You guys are probably not going to see everything that just happened, but Katie and I were thinking of doing something different for a monthly update.
Ministry update.
Ministry update. We'll call it the Holmes Ministry Minute. But it won't be a minute long, so...
The Holmes Minute.
The Holmes Minute. So, we wanted to share with you guys. We know we don't get to see a lot of you on a constant basis. You guys don't get to see us. And most of the time, you don't want to see this ugly mug anyway. You want to see the kids. So, there will be video of the kids. Don't worry. But we wanted to share...
Because we know that's why you came.
we know that's exactly why you came. But we wanted to just kind of share with you an update of what's going on with us. We are still living in Alabama, not in Tennessee yet. So that is something you could be praying about. We feel a little disconnected from the ministry right now. And I think that's just part of living where we're at. And it can be discouraging. So we ask that you guys would just pray about that situation and that God would answer those things. And sometimes it seems trivial in the view of everything that's going on in the world. And we understand that there are bigger things. But for us right now, that is something that you could be praying for. So these last few months have been very busy for us.
Starting in November.
So we traveled to Maine in November. Mm-hmm. Many of you know that we traveled to Maine because my grandmother passed away. We got to spend some time with my family while we were up there.
Mm-hmm. Then at the end of November, we went to North Carolina for Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot about that. I kind of forget about that.
With my family. Then in December, we traveled to Tennessee for work. And then from Tennessee, we traveled to Colorado. Which is probably the highlight, if you ask our kids, of Christmas break, was traveling to Colorado and going to Whit's End. We got to go to Focus on the Family, and if any of you are familiar with Adventures in the Odyssey, we got to go to the wonderful world of Whit's End and all the things that would be included in that. And I tell you what, I think the kids are still talking about it to this day.
They still talk about it. Not only do they still talk about it, but it was... So when we were driving in, Annalise especially, she was basically vibrating.
Oh, three.
She was so excited. And they saw like the cutouts of the characters in the windows. They're like, oh, there's Connie and there's Whit.
And Eugene.
They were so excited. And then we got to eat in their little Whit's End dining facility. And Joseph had a Wad Fam chalk
soda.
Wad Fam chalk soda, world famous chocolate soda. And he said it was fantastic.
And it was.
It was pretty good. We tried it. we have to say it was pretty good. But the kids, they had heard so many of the stories, through Adventures in Odyssey that they were going through. And it was just so exciting for them to see all of that. And it's such a great ministry. If you guys don't listen and you have kids our age, probably 6, 7...
Like 6 through 12.
6, well, I mean,
6
Annalise
and beyond.
just turned 12 yesterday, and she still loves it. But they do need to be just a little bit older to kind of appreciate what's going on. So, like our niece, she's 4, she enjoyed it because our kids enjoyed it, but she probably wouldn't enjoy listening to it right now. I'm sure she will.
Give her a couple years.
Yeah, give her a couple of years, and she'll love it.
Yeah.
So, that was our Christmas. I actually got to go with my brother-in-law, and we went and took some landscape photos, which I really enjoyed. It was cold, and there was no oxygen because we were in Colorado, and we went up Pikes Peak and took some photos. And I had to get some oxygen when I got back, but it was great. I really enjoyed it. It was something that I wasn't quite expecting, but to see kind of the beauty of God's creation was just amazing. So him and I are actually hopefully going to plan a time to go and do that, and then Katie can go spend some time with her sister and the kids can hang out, so that should be good. But
speaking of kids, to update you, homeschooling is going great most days. I joke and say that I am simultaneously in third, fourth, and sixth grade, right alongside with my kids. And as of today, which is Wednesday, March 2nd, we have 47 days left of our school year. And all the crowd goes wild because we're down to the ending of our year, which is amazing.
I actually feel like you guys are a little bit ahead this year.
Yeah, we are.
Looking at that. So that's great. And
Which means the kids have worked really hard, and we've pushed through attitudes and frustrations that come with learning, and they're great students, like I said, most of the days.
for most of the days. I only do teaching when Katie goes somewhere. So
Speaking of which,
this last month, Katie actually went to the women's retreat up at our national office. So while she was gone, I stepped in and did substitute teaching, and we did pretty good. I do things differently than Katie, and so the kids, their favorite mantra for that week was, "That's not how Mom does it." And I said, "Do I look like Mom?" And I said that you have to get used to people doing things differently, and they adjusted. And then, of course, as soon as Mom came back, I think they were like, "Yay, Mom's back!" And they went back to doing things the way they were normally doing them, and
with maybe a little bit of a tweak.
maybe a little bit of a tweak, but Katie got to go and help out with the women's ministry thing. So I'll let her speak to that because, yeah, she's way more equipped than I am.
So, yeah, like Steven said, I was able to go to our national office and help them put on our annual ladies retreat that mostly consists of the attendees being women who serve within CBM at our different areas. Or if they don't serve in the area full time, they're at least somehow connected through volunteering or being family members of those who do serve within CBM. And it's a most beloved weekend for many people because it's kind of pressing pause on the life that it gets busy and chaotic and all things at that time. They get to step away from that and come to the ladies retreat and just be refreshed and poured into spiritually by whoever is the speaker and have incredible worship. And I know it's one of my favorite things, both being on this side of being part of the ministry and putting on the retreat, but then also having been on the other side and having attended the retreat as just an attendee. It is one of my most favorite times because I get to see people who are right in the trenches with me, though they might not be physically close to me. We are doing this life in ministry full time together, and it's a wonderful, refreshing weekend.
So that's what Katie's been doing. I have been working on a few things for National. Last year I did the channel little magazine that goes out that kind of updates everyone on how the year has been for CBM. This year I am trying to get that finished up. I actually lost a couple weeks. I ended up with some health issues that I had put something on Facebook about it, so if you read that, you know. But I ended up with a kidney stone, ended up with an infection, ended up finding out that I was allergic to an antibiotic and had some complications at the hospital.
Very scary.
And then, God took care of me, brought me home, all that, and then ended up with kind of a second round of all of it. Except for the medical interaction. You also
ended up with COVID in that mix.
Oh, and I also ended up with COVID for the second time during that mix. So I kind of lost about a month in all of that. But we are very close, or I'm very close to finishing kind of the culmination of the channel, which is great. Probably means it will go out a little bit later than it did last year, which I'm personally frustrated with.
It's okay, though.
But not much I can do about it. We still have to go back through and make sure that, we spell check, make sure that we read through everything and make sure everything is good, because I can easily miss some things. But I'm also working on a video for our release time ministry. Our release time ministry, if you haven't heard of it, we're actually able to go to schools. We don't go technically into the schools and teach the Bible. We have either classrooms that have been made in mobile classrooms that we're able to bring next to the school, not on school property, and kids with their parents' permission can come out during the school day and get a Bible lesson. That ministry is fueled by volunteers. It really is. We kind of facilitate it for the most part. We make sure it goes, and a lot of times we do the teaching. But volunteers truthfully are the ones that make that
Heartbeat.
They make that ministry work. When it first started, I was talking with a gentleman who used to be the head of the CBM National Director, Jerry Traster, and he said they had something like 500 volunteers working with this. It's a lot of people. Well, each individual area still needs volunteers, and we're trying to get the word out so that people can know the need, know what the ministry is about, see how it affects people, and know that it's a worthwhile thing to do. So, if you happen to be watching this and you're like, hey, I've got some free time during the week, and you would like to volunteer, send us a message. If we can get you connected with one of our camps, we would love to do that. If we can't get you connected with one of our camps, but someone else is doing release time in your area, maybe we can get you connected with them.
Because it's not just exclusive to CBM.
It's not. This is something that is legal, I think, in all the states.
To some degree.
To some degree. There are some things that you have to do. Sometimes you have to work with the school administration. Sometimes you have to work with certain politicians, depending on who they are. I don't know how all of it works out legally in every area, but
to some degree, release time is nationwide.
Right. So, like I said, if you are interested, let me know. But if this video that I'm working on is hopefully going to be something that we can send out to churches in different areas that'll help, kind of explain that to them. So,
and I'm sure once it's done, we'll be posting it on our ministry update page too.
We probably will. If I wouldn't, Katie would make me. So, right now, I don't think we're scheduled to go up to national anytime soon that I know of. If that changes, we will, in our next update, let you guys know kind of what we've been doing and how things are going. We still don't know what's going on with our summer yet, so as soon as we know, we will let you know. We know our kids are excited to figure that out. They had a lot of fun last year. We went down to Camp Gilead in Florida. But that's kind of what's been going on in our life.
I think the theme of this past year is just basically being flexible and adaptable, not being too set in stone in our schedule.
Well, and it's funny how God prepares you for certain things in your life and you don't always recognize it in the time. So when I was still active duty and we were living in San Antonio, we would travel back and forth to see Katie's parents quite a bit. At least once or twice a year. We were either going to them or they were coming to us. So we traveled with the kids a lot when they were younger.
For sure.
Well, these past 4 to 6 months, there's been a lot of travel in our family.
A lot of miles put on our car.
A lot of miles. And we were able, actually, if you didn't see, we bought a new vehicle. Our van was not doing so well with the long trips. And so we were able to buy a new vehicle. But our kids travel so well. And I think part of it was those times when they were younger. And
years of conditioning.
Years of training and conditioning that back then we would have thought, man, this is just kind of a pain. I wish we could fly. But now we see the benefit of where, hey, we can pack the kids up and we can do we drove from South Alabama to Maine, South Alabama to North Carolina. South Alabama to Tennessee, and then on to Colorado, and then from Colorado back to South Alabama. That's a lot of travel. And our kids did fantastic. And we're just so thankful for it. And it's funny, our kids each have different personalities. And when you guys, any of you who have interacted with them know that, and anyone who ever has had children know that. But it's funny to watch those personalities come out in a very small space. So most of the time, Eleanor is fairly reserved.
Around people.
Around other people,
around
and
other
even
people outside of our family.
Even around us for a good portion of the time,
degree, yeah.
She's more reserved. But when she's kind of had enough of writing and it's been a long day, she turns into a nut. She really does. It's
The Lord knew we needed her in our family.
It's like the comic relief at the end of a very long day. She kind of provides that. Now, Annalise and Joseph, they do. Joseph he would be kind of content to sit there and just play with his toys or do something by himself almost all day long. But the moment we stop, the kid's got to run around. He does really well for long periods of time, but he's got to let out that energy. And sometimes that can be, as someone who likes a calmer, quieter household, that's difficult for me. But he does so well. It's hard to blame him. And then
Annalise is becoming such a little adult.
she really is. So our new vehicle, she can actually control the air conditioning and the heat from back where she sits, along with the volume. She loves this.
She loves that control.
She loves being able to be the one in control of that and feeling kind of so grown up in that aspect. And it's just when she has to, we try and rotate the kids so not one of them is just always sitting in back. But when she sits in back, it frustrates her to no end because she's like, can you turn up the volume? Or it's too hot, or it's too cold. And she wants to be the one up there controlling those knobs, but she can't be. But on the flip side of that, she's also the one that we can tell her to go clean the bathroom and it gets cleaned. She does a really good job. She has a heart for service. She also has a heart for telling others what to do, but
Which the Lord is going to use her in mighty ways, but right now it's so frustrating.
so but anyway, this is our family. This is what's been going on, and we are just so thankful to everyone who supports us financially or prayerfully, because we really couldn't do it without you guys. And like we said, right now we feel a little disconnected, and so those who are praying for us, we know that makes a difference. We have seen it happen. And one last thing before we go. I know that politics aren't the best to talk about, but please be praying, and I know that you guys know this, please be praying for the people of Ukraine and the people of Russia. We were there in our missions trip in August, and we landed and automatically fell in love with the brothers and sisters that were there waiting for us.
Despite the language barrier.
Despite the language barrier, these were people that you knew were part of the family of God. There was just that connection. And when we landed, they were so gracious and they were fantastic. And right now, they're hiding in basements, and some of them have evacuated, and they're asking for prayer, and they're seeing God work in mighty ways with the information that we're getting from them. But we have to remember, we can't. Sometimes we just want to get mad. I know that I've gone through this. I've been mad and sad and frustrated and all these different things, and looking at this situation and knowing that they're going through a hard time. But God never promised us this life would be easy. And we told this to our kids. He didn't prevent Daniel from going into the lion's den. He was there with him. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had to go into the fire, but God was there with them. So that we want everything to stop and we want it to be peaceful. What we're asking you guys to pray for more than that is that no matter what is going on, that especially the brothers and sisters there wouldn't lose faith, that they would find those opportunities where God is asking them to do something that just seems so crazy, but they trust him and they go and they do it, and God is glorified through that.
Ordinary people being used by an extraordinary God.
Exactly. So just keep them in your prayers, and ask that they would be strong when it just seems like they can't, and that God would show his presence to them and his grace and his mercy, and that something that none of us could imagine would happen would out of this situation, and that God would get all the glory. So until next time, we hope you guys have enjoyed this. If not, don't be too harsh if you leave a comment. But if you like this, let us know. We may continue to do this as our update so that people can kind of see us and see what's going on. So again, thank you. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time.